Happy LHON Awareness Day, everybody. It's great to have so many people with us and here wanting to raise awareness and talk about LHON. So thank you to everybody for joining us for this year's LHON Awareness Day webinar. We really hope that the theme this year, LHON and the family, resonates with many of you. We've already had a few people saying that it does and how important it is to talk about this topic. So I'm really excited to hear how everyone's experience shortly. So in a moment, I'll pass over to Kyra Mann. Kyra is the chair of IMP. I know quite a few of you will know her already. Following that, we are really excited to premiere the new LHON video that we've created to help raise awareness of the realities that families face when living with LHON. The video will also be available on our website later this week, so please do share it with your family and friends. And please link to it on social media as well to help raise more awareness. I want to take a moment to thank everyone who featured in the video for sharing their story. It's really brave of people to get in front of the camera and let others know their experiences. So a massive thank you to everybody who did participate and share their story. Thank you. Once we've watched the video, Paula Morandi, who again I know quite a lot of you will already know, will speak about LHON Awareness Day. I know that a lot of you know what an incredible person Paula is. She's the driving force behind the creation of LHON Awareness Day and of these events that we've been holding each year and have had the last few years. We'll then share a short but powerful video message from Krista Indy, who, if any of you were with us last year for the webinar, will remember from there. And then we're going to be delighted to open the floor to you all. And please, we really encourage you to let us know what you think and join the conversation. We do want this session to be truly interactive. So it's a really unique event for members of the LHON community from around the world to share your experiences. This is your event. So please do ask questions, make comments, and really ensure your voice is heard. To help the session run as smoothly as possible, please do mute your microphone during the session. Raise your hand when we do the interactive section. I'll invite you to unmute yourself and you're welcome to ask your question or comment verbally. Otherwise, you're welcome, if you prefer not to speak out loud on the session or during the session, please, you're welcome to write your question in or comment in the chat. So without further ado, I would like to hand over to Kyra. She is the chair of IMP, and over to you.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it. Good morning or afternoon, everyone, depending on where you are in the world. As Joe said, my name is Kyra Mann. I'm the board chair of IMP and CEO of Mito Action. And so welcome to our annual LHON Awareness Day program focused on LHON and the family. Although the week has just started, we're off to an amazing beginning of Global Mitochondrial Disease Awareness Week. Last week, we celebrated TK2D Awareness Day. Today's focus is on LHON awareness, and we're excited to see all of the social media posts, awareness gear, buildings lit up across the globe, faces of Mito, your stories and heartfelt tales of your journey with mitochondrial disease. The energy our community is putting forth to bring awareness to mitochondrial disease is truly incredible. As the global umbrella organization uniting mitochondrial disease patient organizations worldwide, IMP's primary goal is to support patients and families while ensuring that each of you has hope that we're working towards treatments and one day a cure. We're eager for the upcoming launch of the first ever global mitochondrial disease patient registry. With the launch of this global registry, we aim to gather uniform and significant data to learn more about mitochondrial diseases and support clinicians and researchers as they work tirelessly to uncover a cure and treatments. We proudly announce that the global registry pilot will kick off with the Lilly Foundation in the UK, followed by plans to launch in Germany, Italy, France, among other countries shortly thereafter. The registry initiative will help us to support patients worldwide, advance research, and ensure that each family receives the necessary support to face the unique challenges of living with Mito. We are excited to take part in Cure Mills, a reprogramming-based strategy for drug repositioning in patients with mitochondrial DNA-associated Leigh syndrome, as well as recently joining the Sympathic Project. We have many new initiatives planned in the coming year, and we look forward to the continued growth and expansion of IMP. Regardless of your location in the world, we urge you to connect with us at IMP in order to be linked with resources and other member organizations in your nearby communities. If you are a patient organization serving the Mito community, we welcome and encourage you to join and become a member of IMP. We are truly stronger together, and IMP is dedicated to cooperating, collaborating, and uniting with each of you to benefit this community. We feel privileged to walk alongside our families during their journeys with mitochondrial disease, and we understand the weight of that responsibility. So let's get started. And as Joe said, please ask questions. We want this to be an interactive session.
Thank you, Kyra. As I mentioned before, we invited some of the LHON community members to record a video and to share some of their experiences about living with LHON and the impact on their families. We use those videos, we've compiled them into a short film, and I'm really excited to be showing it to you guys. You're the first people to see it. And I hope I hope you think it's as powerful as we do. As I said before, thank you so much to everybody who participated in putting this video together. I'll pass it over to those people on the video now.
Andy, I live in Italy, and I have had LHON for about 31 years.
Hello, my name is Sebastian. I am 22 years old, and I have LHON for about a year now.
My mom has been diagnosed with LHON 10 years ago.
Hello, my name is Raphael. I come from France, and my brother has been diagnosed with LHON in 2014.
LHON certainly had a huge impact on my family life because I was a very young mom when I developed LHON. I had a little boy who was 2 at the time. And apart from the fact that in the beginning, for the first 7, 8 months, we were traveling all over the United States hospitals to try to find out what was happening to my vision that used to be totally perfect. And we also had no idea that we had a rare mitochondrial disease in my family. We had never even heard of mitochondrial diseases at the time. But when I received the diagnosis, I really didn't know what to do. And by that time, I had lost my right eye completely. And within a few months, I started losing my entire central vision in my other eye. I could no longer drive, and that meant that I could no longer be free to go shopping. I could no longer be free to take my son to childcare, and later on to school, and later on to sports in the afternoon, like every other mom. Moms usually say that they're the taxi drivers of the family. Well, I certainly couldn't be that because I couldn't take my son anywhere. My husband had a job that took him away from home for long periods at each time. And so, of course, I was alone all the time. It was really difficult on my family, and it was really difficult on my son. I learned to live in a different way, of course, and I learned to do things a different way. But with LHON, it is very difficult to understand how we are blind, and we don't look blind, but we certainly have a lot of difficulties in living everyday life.
I'm Sergio from Italy. I'm now almost 70 years old, and LHON came into my life when I was 13. I come from a family of 4 brothers, all of us got the same mitochondrial mutation, but luckily, only 2 of us developed LHON. We both, anyway, had to leave school and had to find our new ways into life. And that was not always easy. So with the wisdom of their generation, they faced the problem the best they could and tried to help us in all possible ways. Through my life until today, I can say that I have almost always found enough understanding for what concerns my sight problems. I do not drive a car, but luckily my wife does, and she never minds helping me around. And myself, I take often buses and never mind asking people for a bus number whenever I can see myself.
Well, not at first, because what happened is that his vision became blurry with one eye suddenly, and months after, the second eye was hit. So basically, he lost his vision in less than 2 minutes. So that's highly brutal, and by then, still now, still today, we don't have a lot of information because it is a rare disease. So it raised a lot of questions, like why and when it triggered. Why him? Why not us? Because we are 4 brothers. So there was mentioning it was a transfer from mothers. Why not us? Why him? Why them? How can I adapt myself to him? So how can I help him when I'm with him without offending him? What was very, very important for him was the rehabilitation, the re-education, the way in we've been highly impressed and proud by the way he was able to adapt to his new life. And what was very important for us was to maintain our tradition.
My onset started with my right eye, and about 2 weeks later, I lost my vision in my left eye as well. This disease is very complicated and it's very weird for people to understand, because an LHON patient loses his central vision and only has some or none at all of peripheral vision. My family still tries to understand and be aware and okay. At least they try to be understanding. My brother doesn't yet comprehend the fact that I don't see very well. And my sister is beginning to understand the fact that I'm not able to see the things that she is seeing.
Hello, my name is Ana Flosa. I'm Portuguese and mother of Tomás, a young Portuguese LHON patient. This year, on September 19, it will be 7 years since we got the LHON diagnosis. LHON had a big impact on our family. No one and nothing prepares us for such a dramatic and severe disease. The great impact of LHON in our family results in feelings of fear and loneliness because it is a rare disease and there is not much information about it and there are few patients in Portugal. Concern regarding Tomás' future, perplexity and impotence because of the severe and rapid loss of vision, and sadness because there is no cure for LHON and it is not a thing that we plan for our son. LHON didn't come with a user guide, so we had to build it on a daily basis, trying to figure out the needs of Tomás to continue studying, working, doing sports, and the most important thing, to be happy. And the good thing is that it is possible to live happily with LHON. Tomás is now 22 years old and overall has been fighting to cope with his blindness with resilience. We learned that the family must keep united and active, making of this situation a life mission. And finally, we learned that we must keep hope. Hope to be able to obtain something positive from this condition and hope that the medicine evolves and a cure or medication can be discovered for LHON.
Yeah, Spirit family from Germany. I'm Tina.
Hi, Peter.
I'm Yana. And I'm Lily.
We have known since January 2023 that Jan has LHON disease, which came as a huge shock to all of us. He now has two very similar conditions.
I'm 11 years old and I'm 6th grade at high school. Actually, I had mental problems at school, but since the disease broke out, learning has become very difficult for me.
He works with an iPad Pro that reads a lot of text to him, but that's not easy. We support him in all the new challenges, and we are very proud of him, how well he masters this.
Of course, his everyday life has changed a lot. He used to love playing soccer. He's still playing today, but he can't follow what's happening in the game. This often makes him sad. He also doesn't meet up with friends as often as he used to. The homework takes much longer and requires a lot of patience from him as well as from me. A lot has changed in our family everyday life because we take his illness into account in all activities. The daily routine always presents new challenges. Despite the illness, Jan is optimistic and rises challenges. He also hopes that his eyesight may improve again.
I'm Carlo. I'm from Italy, and my mother is a person affected by LHON since I was 3, so a bit more than 30 years ago. Therefore, my memories only recall my mom affected by this disease, and it's been kind of a journey. Thanks to my mother's strong will to live life fully, I have never really suffered having a mom affected by LHON. It's true, my mom could not drive a car, which is probably one of her lost passions after the suicide. But still, thanks to her resilience and excellent social skills, I recall having a childhood with lots of family friends which would be around and help me, even taking me to school, sports, and so on. My mom, commitment to life, both hers and others, would come to a point where, when still a child, we would play board games, and I would have to help her reading or telling her what was going on in the game. As strong was her commitment to life, strong was mine to win, and I admit, for some years, taking advantage and do some small cheating sometimes, but it was for good. Life has not always been that easy. Living in Italy since the mid-90s, we faced the early skepticism of some people who couldn't believe that a blind person could live dynamically and love life. For example, growing up, I remember taking my mother to the supermarket and parking at the parking area for disabled. And as my mom got off the car, an old man started shouting at her, thinking we had wrongly parked at the disabled parking spot. Well, I never forget my reaction. It was probably the first real moment in my life where I felt I had to stand up and protect my mother, not from the disease, which is, of course, totally out of my control, but from injustice and prejudice. A third point worth to mention, being the son of a person affected by LHON also means awareness of possibility facing one day the same, literally living on a bomb. From the resilience and the strong character of my mother, I learned one of the most important lessons of my life, which is what stands in the way becomes the way.
Hi, my name is Elena Belisario. I'm Italian. I'm 55. Throughout those 25 years, what I felt is that, doctors could not help me. People would not believe me. So a sort of, let's say, a barrier grew very strong around me, protect me from the world around. I felt alone, lonely, and that increased my natural tendency to be introverted and solitary. I could do a lot of things. I could study until I was graduated in foreign languages. I worked, I had different jobs, I did a lot of sports, let's say normal life. Then, of course, this illness had no name, so I could not express it. So it was pushed in a shadow, among other things which you are ashamed of. The scientific diagnosis was very happy about that. So I started the process of bringing light into this shadow and on this illness, on the disease. And then it became my best friend. It helped me to improve natural tendency of lymphatic listening. And I trained to be a yoga teacher, breathing techniques facilitator now. I'm training to become a holistic therapist. My family, also my younger brother, has the same illness. He fell ill 5 years after me. He's younger. So we were in two in the same family, which means that all the family need to turn around this and take care about this, support to people on this. So it was very important. I think it's support and made the whole family grow together. I think it's it has become a support in my life.
My name is Pedro García Recover. I am located in Madrid, the capital of Spain. I am a LHON patient. Regarding the LHON Awareness Day, when I started with LHON, it was a new situation in my family. Nobody understood what was happening. My family had a hard journey to find doctors and to know the proper diagnosis. We don't have any other LHON reference in the family. My parents and I decided to talk to my sister. We are siblings. She could start with LHON. In my opinion, the family needs psychological support to understand it. It is real, the feeling of guilt in parents. Everybody needs help to understand LHON.
Hi, my name is Eliana and I'm from the Netherlands, where I was born and raised. Over 10 years ago, at the age of 50, I was on a holiday and suddenly noticed I could not see very well. My journey began right there. After a week of vacation, I came home and I could not drive my car anymore. And about 6 months later, I was diagnosed with LHON. I had to pick up my life real fast because I did not want to be dependent on people. As much as I tried doing that and still do, it is a hard road to walk. Most of the time, you walk the road by yourself, even though you have family members near you. For some reason, it's hard to imagine what it's like not to have your vision, especially when you look at somebody with LHON and you cannot actually see in their eyes that they're not being able to look at you or see your face or products or whatsoever. So I was able to learn to order my groceries online, do my bank account online, and learn how to pick out clothes, and yet it's still a big loss where I experience every day not being able to do everything like I used to. We're now 10 years further and life is okay. However, I will never, ever be able to accept what I lost, but we'll have to work my way through it. And sometimes I fall down and I get up, not literally, but that's just how it works. It is hard to describe what the impact of LHON is. The biggest deal for me is giving up my independence, not being able to do something by yourself without needing assistance or without asking questions. Nonetheless, I'm happy with new things like iPad and iPhones that can assist me. And of course, I'm truly blessed with my lovely family around me, my daughter and my friends that can help me get through life and let me be as independent as possible.
I like to help her, and I always tell her
please let me know if I can help you, because I just want to make mom's life easier as well. And sometimes we get irritated with each other if things don't go the way we want them to go. But I think that's the same way if you do see and if you do have a nice side. But we both try to make the best of it, and I want to be there for her in which way I can be there for her.
Hello, I'm Michelle. I live in Sydney, Australia. I'm a mother, wife, and daughter of a very old father. Having LHON has given me very low vision and has created extra challenges of managing intergenerational life. For example, I haven't got a driver's license, I can't read, I can't see people's faces, and I need a support person to help
drive to the nursing homes to inspect them and pick him up to show him what might be his new home. So that's my biggest challenge at the moment. Thank you.
In our situation, my son, he plays basketball, he goes to school, he can do everything that he wants, he's very positive. He's 10 years old. The problem that he has, he can use one eye. That brings us a lot of energy to continue with all of this. So I invite you, to all of you, to try to find people with the same situation, to find the associations. You will find a lot of help there. We need to support the doctors that are investigating and the laboratories for the new therapies or treatments.
So I'm thankful to all those people who really dedicate their lives to research and finding solutions for this illness. Want to say more? A big ciao for everybody from Sergio from Rome.
We still need a lot to bring a lot of awareness. We need a medication for this disease. So thank you very much for the project.
I want to thank you so much for this opportunity to be a part of this LHON Awareness Day. And I hope we will get more awareness raised with this event.
This Awareness Day is very important for us. So thank you all for being here.
For everyone in this journey at the beginning, the biggest tip or advice I can give them, please don't be embarrassed to ask for help, because people want to help. And the quicker you do that, the quicker you might be able to accept this big loss. Thank you.
Let's try to stick together as a family. Yes, to that.
Thank you, everybody. I'm so sorry that some of you had issues with the audio. Apologies for that. For those of you who did, as I said, we will be uploading the video to the website tomorrow. So if you do need to or you would like to watch it again, it will be up on the website. So apologies for any sound issues that you might have experienced. Thank you so much to everyone who did participate in the video. You guys were amazing. I hope I hope you enjoyed participating, and you can see what an important message that you've shared. So thank you. I'd like to now pass over to Paula, who's going to tell us a little bit more about LHON Day and about the rest of the event.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you. And thank you. Many thanks to all those who accepted to share their experience in living with LHON. I really am thankful, especially to INP, because 4 years ago, INP accepted this idea to raise awareness with a special day dedicated to LHON.
And so we set up September 19th, 4 years ago. And as you know, every year has a theme. And of course, the first theme 4 years ago had to be diagnosis and therapy, because it's still very difficult to diagnose LHON, believe it or not. And the following year, if any of you can remember, we discussed special devices, technology that is available to make life easier. Last year, we covered the subject of accessibility, so especially computer accessibility, being able to work and study. And this year, it was actually one of those 4 doctors who signed the LHON Awareness Day brochure that you can find on the IMP website, who mentioned to me, why don't you do something about the family, LHON and the family? Because LHON is a disease that really has a huge impact on the family, not just on the patient. When a patient has LHON, when a patient has LHON, the whole family gets LHON, because on one hand, family members have to understand what their child has to, parents have to understand what their child can eat, can drink, what they need to avoid, what drugs need to be avoided, what kind of sports we can do. On the other hand, you have the patient who has a whole new concept of life, a whole new learning, a whole new way of seeing life and living life itself. So this particular doctor said to me, I often get mothers asking me, what can my son eat? What can he do? What shall he not do? And this is when I suggested to this wonderful European LHON group that has been following me and bearing with me for quite a few years now, that we organize a special day on the family. Listening to the video, I have to say that I've taken down some very special phrases that really indicate what changes in your life, what changes in a family when you have LHON. And it's very interesting to see the different points of view, because you have patients who could be young men, adolescent boys usually, or you have mothers, or you have girls, or you have the point of view of a brother, of a son, of a daughter, of a wife, of a husband. And it's so different. They are all such different points of view. You have the guilt issue. Many mothers feel guilty because they're told that they pass on the disease, because LHON can only be inherited from mothers. Now they're finding out some new information, but basically and generally it is passed on from mother to children. It stops with boys. Men are not cannot pass it on. We know that. And so there's the guilt issue. But one recurring issue is being understood and understanding. So the patient needs to be understood and family needs to understand. I'd like to go through some of the phrases with you, if you can bear with me. Let's see. Okay. Having to travel to find a cure is one thing. I'm not able to take my child to childcare as a mother affected by LHON. I can't take him to sports. My spouse is away because of work, and so I'm alone as a patient. Why him and not us? We are 4 brothers. How can I help him without offending him? It's very important for us to maintain our traditions. Another one is, this disease is very weird for people to understand. These are some of the sentences and some of the phrases. I really would like you to think about some of these, because we're going to discuss them later. My family is still trying to understand. My brother doesn't yet understand. There's the understanding issue again that I don't see. My sister is only starting now to understand me. No one and nothing prepares us for this terrible disease. There is not much information on what to do. LHON didn't come with a user guide. I like this one. The good thing is that it is possible to live happily with LHON. Since the disease broke out, learning has become very difficult. Everyday life has changed a lot. Keep some of these in mind and we'll go through them again. He is often very sad that he can't follow the game as he used to. The daily routine always presents new challenges. Lots of family friends will be around taking me to school. Taking advantage is another issue. Somebody can take advantage of somebody you can't see. People couldn't believe that a blind person could live dynamically. Injustice. I felt that I had to protect my mother from injustice and prejudice. Another one is, I've been living on a bomb. This is a family member. Doctors couldn't help me. They wouldn't believe that I was blind. I was alone. I became introverted. Then it became my best friend. I like that one too. LHON became my best friend. I didn't say that. All the family has to support the patient. This is a whole family issue. We had to find doctors who knew anything about mitochondrial diseases. The family needs psychological support. This is another issue. Most of the time, you face the road by yourself. You look at someone with LHON and you cannot imagine what it's like. I learned to do my banking online. This is another thing we learned to do. I will never, ever be able to accept what I have lost. The biggest deal for me is giving up my independence. I'm sorry, I hope I'm not going too fast, but I'll go back from the beginning and I'd like to hear all of you. Asking questions. We had to learn to ask for help. A family member said, I always ask her if I can help. The challenges also of helping elderly parents when you're a patient with elderly parents. We need to support doctors. It's a good one. We need awareness. Don't be embarrassed to ask for help. Okay, these are the ones that I wrote down. I hope I didn't go too fast, but I would like to ask all of you who are connected to join us, even if you would like to speak another language, if English is a little difficult for you and you would like to say it in your language, please feel free to do so. We have dealt with so many issues. Understanding LHON, understanding what the patient feels. We often feel that losing your vision leads to darkness. LHON doesn't lead to darkness. In fact, each patient has different symptoms. We're not all the same, but it all usually starts from the center and spreads out to the sides. In my case, it's like having a flashlight, a constantly lit flashlight directly lit in my eyes, like looking at the sun and seeing only the sun with some figures that are not very clear on the side. Some other people say that they have a dark center, but it's always very difficult for us to explain. And often because we have a good posture, because we can walk straight, often people don't believe us. In fact, we heard the young man saying that he was actually attacked when he parked the car in a disabled parking area because immediately people tend to judge, to think that you don't have that right. You don't have the right to park there. Other people, as I said earlier, often talked about understanding, but understanding is the one feature, if you like to call it that, the one thing that unites families and patients, because often family members find it difficult to understand. How many of you, for example, have a WhatsApp group with family members and or even friends, and sometimes they publish a photo and they forget to describe the photo because we can't see the photo, even though today there are apps that can describe the photo, but they don't describe it so well. They will say a green park with maybe a chicken walking around, or a cat or a horse, but that's about it. They don't really give us the details. What with LHON, we miss the details. And we heard a lot about it today. We heard the young boy going to school who can no longer play games with other children, not the same way he used to before. So the feeling of being unwanted, of not being included. We often say that we've lost our friends in the beginning because it becomes a little bit difficult for friends to get together, go out, and then suddenly you need a lift, you need to be taken back home. You feel that you are sort of a burden. You feel that you don't want to disturb other people. You don't want to be a bother. And so what happens? You retrieve in your own home, and you begin to lose the reality. But please turn on your microphones or raise your hands. I'm not able to see.
Paula.
Joe is, yes.
Yes, I am. And we have Victor, who's joining us, I think, from Japan. Victor, you've got your hand up. If you'd like to unmute yourself.
Please.
Yeah, hello everyone. Yeah, I'm zooming in from Japan, and it's actually very heartwarming to hear so many of you who has a similar experience than I. But I'm not too sure. This is the first time I'm joining the group here. I'm in Japan or in Singapore. We don't have much support, and most doctors don't know much about this condition as well because it's very rare. So there isn't any treatments.
I'm sorry to hear that, Victor. That must be really tricky. It must be really hard not having that support locally to you.
Hello.
Can you hear us now?
So I'm not too sure what are the supports. Like I heard that in Europe you have such a support, right? Like you have places for patients to go to, or doctors who understand this condition and their treatments, isn't it? I wonder how I'm not sure how is it possible to be connected from Asia to Europe. Yeah, that's the question. Although we can zoom in online and share our thoughts, right? But physically, is it possible that, do you know of any doctors who are here in Japan or in Singapore?
Victor, I think it's really wonderful to have you. I didn't quite understand if you're a family member or if you are affected yourself by LHON. I do suggest that you write to IMP. We will put you in touch with some doctors who are specialized in Leber's hereditary optic neuropathy. And you can write to info@mitopatients.org, and we will definitely put you in touch with somebody. We will find somebody in Japan, and in the meantime, we would love to be in touch with you and discuss this a little bit further, because I know how difficult it is in the beginning. Me, myself, I've been affected for over 30 years, and in the beginning there was nothing. I was just told, set your mind at peace. There is nothing to do. But today the world is much smaller. You know, this may sound a little funny, but Japan is really around the corner because we can run on a plane, we can get everywhere. And so please do get in touch with us. Okay.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
my doctors just say that yeah, you will just get worse, you know. That's it. There's no treatment. So the thing is, our condition are not stable. So the challenge is it's not stable. It's become more challenging as time gone by. So that's the challenge. If it stabilized, so we can get used to it. But it's a constant learning experience every time. Sometimes it creates fear. So
thank you, Victor.
Yeah, and Victor, if you go to the chat, Lisa very kindly has just shared a Facebook group, and she says there are some people from Japan, an LHON group, and there are some people from Japan in that group, so you might want to try there. And just following on from what Paula said, I just want to share a very quick anecdote from the last couple of days, just to say how incredible the Mito community, the global Mito community is, regardless of which type of Mito it might be. I had a doctor 2 or 3 days ago who emailed me to say that she had a patient with a particular type of Mito, and she was in Ukraine and didn't know what to do and needed some help. And I emailed the IMP member organizations, and within 24 hours, I had so many responses from people around the world saying, contact this doctor, we'll try and support them, try this doctor. So I just want to say that the global community is so incredible. And when people do need support, do reach out. IMP can try and put you in touch with the right people. And Facebook and social media is an incredible resource for getting in touch with people. Oh, and Lisa's just added on that Facebook group, there are some people from Singapore in that group as well.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm not very good with recording what's written on the text in the chat here. So I wonder, do you mind kind of like send me an email?
Absolutely. I'll send you an email tomorrow with all the links and things to you, Victor. And Eleanor has written in the chat. She said, "Thank you, Victor. You're not alone. We're here." Absolutely, and I think that's true of the LHON community from the experience that I've had over the last 10 years or so of working within the Mito community. It's amazing to see how kind and generous people are with their support.
Yeah, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, because this is the first time I come into this platform, so I just feel like I'm happy to hear that there's someone out there that I can get connected to.
Absolutely. Does anyone else, I'm just looking to see if anyone else has a hand raised at the moment or would like to put a question into the chat or wants to comment on anything that Paula was mentioning. Okay.
I even one thing that really hit me was hearing that somebody actually had to leave school and find work. And I say to that, thank God, today the world has changed generally. In most countries, you no longer have to leave school. There is, at least in Europe, in the United States and Canada, I can say that there is assistance in schools, enough assistance with special devices. And as I mentioned earlier, technology really has changed our lives. And this is something that might also help parents who don't usually know that there are screen readers. I find that here in Italy, many times I still get asked, how can you use your phone? I usually have a Bluetooth, as you can see, a Bluetooth in my ear so that I can hear messages and WhatsApp messages, Facebook, all the socials. It makes a huge change to us, but this also means reading, studying, working. And so the whole world has changed from when this patient actually had to leave school because he could no longer study. And finding work when you don't have a diploma, when you haven't been able to finish school, is very, very hard. Today, there are patients who are completely blind also, who can find work, who can get a university degree, who become lawyers, journalists, professors, teachers, musicians. There are many kinds of job, consultants like my nephew, many kinds of jobs that you can do even if you're blind and even if you are completely blind. Usually with LHON, you don't lose your total visual field. And that is reassuring because trying to find that little residue that is left and using it and training your brain to use it, when in the beginning it feels like you don't see anything, but then little by little your brain begins to go and look for that residue and use it. It's very important. So it's also very important for family members to understand how important technology is today.
Yeah, absolutely, Paula. And we've had a couple of comments in the chat. David has written to say how important it is to inform the LHON to inform hospitals, I think, and all people about LHON. And you're absolutely right. That is really important. We do, I think Paula mentioned earlier, there are some brochures on the IMP website that you're very welcome to download. They're in a few different languages, and share with people if that is helpful. We also had a question come in saying, can you share how you shared the news of your diagnosis with your family? You're so focused on processing yourself. How do you share with your family so you feel supported by them and help them understand what you're facing? I just wondered if I could open that up to the group, because all of you have been through that that situation in one way or another, where either you're the family member who is being told or you're the person who is doing the telling. I know it's quite personal, but if anyone would like to share how they shared their story, or how they shared their diagnosis with their family, it may give others support. I've got another few messages coming in.
Before we go to that, I would like to reply to David. I think it was David who mentioned about hospitals who need to know more. I'd like to share a wonderful project that we have in Italy for mitochondrial disease, World Mitochondrial Disease Week. Yesterday, we inaugurated the first Mito corners, the Mito corners, in the Bambin Gesù Hospital in Rome and in the Gemelli Hospital in Rome, and throughout the whole week in different hospitals in Italy. We have a special corner where we will be presenting. We started yesterday. We are at the Bellaria Hospital with Professor Carelli, whom most of you know. Today, in fact, they are opening the Mito corner and talking about mitochondrial diseases and giving information on mitochondrial diseases. The Mito corners will be open from today on.
Thank you, Paula.
How do you break the news to your family?
It may be that people would like to just think about that, and if people want to share at a later date, that's not a problem at all. We do have some other comments and questions, so perhaps I might go to some of those. Nigel, thank you for your comment. He just referring back to the technology that we were mentioning, and he said he agrees that some apps and technologies are very helpful to his son. Hopefully artificial intelligence will really take off in the near future and will be of great assistance going forward. I absolutely agree with you. I think AI is an amazing tool. I think it will play a big role in helping people with many disabilities. Eleanor's just put her hand up. Eleanor, would you like to say something?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, okay. So thank you for this opportunity. Of course, thank you all for the work you do for us, for everybody. What I want to share with you is, yeah, of course, every one of us has had issues in finding the diagnosis and the proper care, the right doctor, and so this has been very significant time in my youth, because I was 13, and until I was for over 25 years I was not scientifically diagnosed. So you know what, not to explain others what you see, no, it's always do they believe me? It's weird, as it has already been said. Having said that, my form is quite light, because I could drive until some years ago. I do not anymore, but I could read, I could study languages, and which means reading those small dictionaries and so on. So of course I'm lucky, I feel lucky. Besides that, it affected anyway my psychology and my self self-belief, my self strength. So I think in a way it's the same for us, even if it's not the same. And of course, what you said at the beginning, that Paula said at the beginning, that we don't have the same symptoms, no? It increases this sense of loneliness, of uniqueness. It's an issue, no? Because you feel that the illness itself is not, it's a rare one. It has not a cure. It's not the same for all of us. So loneliness and comprehension is the main issue for me. It has been like this anyway. So there should be, yeah, I think it's good if we can increase this sense of feeling supported and support each other, and feeling we're not alone, and feeling it's not that it makes us not more alone. Yes, that's it. Sorry if I said it in a very complicated English.
Ella,
Okay,
thank you so much. Thank you. I think you're absolutely right. Thank you for that.
It's very true, Elena. And this is why I have to say that my life as a patient completely changed when I found MitoCon, which can be any other association around the world. And now IMP that unites all of them, I have to say, because finding other patients and also working together to raise awareness, because the more we talk about LHON, the more it will be known, the more it will be discussed, the more it will reach people's ears. And I'm finding a huge difference from just maybe 10 years ago to today. Today, just almost everybody knows what LHON. The only issue I find is sometimes it's mistaken. People talk about Leber's disease and they confuse it with Leber's congenital amaurosis, which is completely different. But people talk about it, and doctors talk about it, and so doctors want to know more about it.
and this is wonderful, you know, working together, being part of the association, creating projects together. I remember a few years ago, we just had so much fun with these glasses. They were not eyeglasses, but trying to create the scotoma with shaving cream. I mean, we just had a ball, just had a laugh, you know, had a party together, scotoma party, you know, kind of, because I mean, you can really make it fun and forget the sad part. You know, we can forget the sad part. I think it was you, Elena, who said, she's now become my best friend. LHON has now become my best friend. And this is really a growth in your pathway, you know, your patient's journey to actually get to the point where you see LHON as your best friend, you know?
Absolutely. That's
Yes,
so
because
powerful.
it helped me improve some kind of comprehension of myself, and yeah, of course, work on what you have as a gift and what you can improve, connecting to others. It's a sort of this, I think, yeah. And anyway, it helped me improving comprehension of myself, I think.
Thank you.
Thank you. We've got another hand up. Joan, would you like to unmute yourself?
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Oh, hi.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Well, this is Joan from Barcelona, from as an old Spanish LHON Patient Association. First of all, thank you very much for organizing this webinar. I'm so happy to be here and thank you very much for sharing this incredibly interesting experiences. Regarding the question about how to tell your family or your friends when you get the diagnosis, in my case, I am now 31 years old, and the disease started when I was 15 years old. So my family was really close to me during the visit to the doctor. When I got my diagnosis, my family was obviously with me in that moment. So my feeling is that sometimes, or many times, families are much more impacted when you get the news about your disease. And afterwards, I would say that there is a kind of a circle that the more supported is the patient from the family and friends, the more we can advance. So when we advance, family feels much better, much happier, and they can value the support they are providing. And this is good to fuel us to make us move forward. And there is a certain point that you can almost forget that you are suffering a disease, and the LHON is just a little part of your life. So it's even nice, I would say. Obviously, we want to have the disease, but once you learn to live with it, it's a nice process to adapt, to learn to live with it, and it makes us even stronger as a family.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I think that is a really important message, and as you say, to make you stronger as a family is incredible. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Yes, it's really wonderful to hear that somebody can actually grow with it. And the word support is really an important word. Sometimes the family actually thinks that they're supporting when they're oppressing. And I say this for some family I deal with, I hear patients every day. I listen to patients every day. And sometimes one of the issues with families is also that there is too much pressure on the patient, especially on the child when the patient is a teenager, wanting to do too much for the patient, the child. When too much pressure can actually stop this growth that we just heard from Juan. You can actually learn to live with the disease, but you have to have room to do that. The family needs to let you grow with the disease. Otherwise, if there's too much protection, that can be more damaging than protective, if you like, if I could say that. So this is also very, very important. I've heard of many people who have grown up into adults who don't know how to do anything for themselves because everything was done for them when they lost their vision. And it's not helping. When you do that, it's not help. Me, I was a grown up. As I said, I was already a mother. I was married and a mother. And so I didn't have that, but I do see a lot of that today. Thank you, Juan, for your testimony. It was very, very nice.
Thank you. I've got another comment here in the chat. So Paula spoke about the importance of maintaining independence. Can you talk about how for you and your family and friends, and how your family and friends can support you without making you feel like you're losing independence? You need to help, but still can do so much for yourself and need to do as much for yourself as possible. That's really following on from what you've just been saying, Paula.
A lot of it, I hate to say this, a lot of it is luck and having understanding people around you. At the time when I lost my vision, before losing my vision, I was an extremely independent person who loved risk. I would really go beyond even my possibilities to do even risky things, sports and things like that. And I couldn't imagine myself having to ask for help. I couldn't. That was the worst thing for me because I was so independent that I really went through a difficult time in the beginning. I didn't want to speak to anybody, deal with anybody, because it meant that I had to ask to take my son to childcare, to take me shopping, because I was alone most of the time. But what happened in my case was that I was surrounded by people who didn't wait for me to ask. They just simply called me and said, let's go shopping. Oh, Paula, I'll take your son to school. And one day, one person even said, Paula, I'm going to take you driving, because I miss driving my car so much. And I thought, there's no way I'll ever drive again. Well, can you believe that 2 years later, my old friend Willoreen, I'll tell you her name, in North Carolina, she called me and she said, we're ready. I'm going to take you driving. I organized a babysitter for your son and we're going driving. And I got on her pickup truck and she took me driving on a very straight road in North Carolina. It was a lovely, lovely experience. But this means having sensitive people who understand what your needs are and not waiting for you to ask. In the beginning, it is so important that people understand that you just can no longer do that by yourself. You can no longer drive your son to school. Who's going to do that for you? So in the beginning, if you have some close friends, and believe me, I've also heard of people losing friends. I lost a friend in the beginning. I can tell you this. I've shared this with other people. I played golf. In fact, I learned from Lisa's son that you can play golf even if you're blind. Well, I didn't know that at the time. I used to play golf 3-4 times a week. And my friend who played golf with me one day, when I told her I was just losing my vision in my other eye too, she literally said to me, well, I really don't know what to do with you anymore. So, I mean, what's the point of continuing our friendship? Well, there is that too. Believe it or not, I had to face this too. I couldn't believe she said that to me, but she did. And I learned later that it just didn't happen to me. It happened to other people, especially teenagers. They often lose their friends because they don't want to be bothered. But in a way, today I said, well, it's so nice to find good friends, good people. Who cares if you lose the ones who were not good friends in the beginning, anyways? And I was blessed to have very good friends who helped me around in the beginning. I hope you do too.
Thank you, Paula. Thank you for sharing that. We have another comment, and please do feel free to pop your hands up or pop another comment into the chat. Someone's written, what are the pieces of technology that have been most useful for your journey with LHON? Maybe and maybe if those people who are with us today, if you want to pop in the chat, if you want to let us know if there's a particular piece of technology that has been really helpful to you, or pop your hand up and let us know. I know we did talk about technology last year, and it was a really interesting set of presentations. And I know from listening and being part of that, there are lots and lots of pieces of technology which people find really, really helpful. Paula, I know you have lots of different things that you use. Tom, you've popped your hand up. Would you like to unmute yourself?
Yeah, actually, I wanted to talk about the prior point regarding losing friends and so on. I can especially say from our situation in Germany, we do have an association for LHON, and we do this yearly meetups. And actually, the last one we've had was just this weekend. And I really encourage everybody who's listening to this to either look for organizations in your country as well, or just groups that aren't even organized yet, and get back to them in order to meet up with these guys, because you're not the only one having LHON, and it's really good and encouraging to meet up with other people having LHON. Especially I can say for at least young people, meeting other young people that have the same condition, that allows for exchange between each other is really valuable.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Tom. I think for those people who are part of a group or a local association, I'm sure there would be lots of nodding of heads and saying how important it is to be in touch with other people with who are having similar experiences or have similar conditions, etc. So yeah, I think that is really, really important. And if you're in a country that doesn't have an LHON group, and it's something that you're interested in starting, let me know. Please get in touch. I'm very happy to provide some guidance or some support. It's really, really important to set up new groups in countries where there aren't any. So please do get in touch. And even if it just starts off with a Facebook group, just to connect people within your country, because you won't be the only one. David, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so I'm David, I'm from Spain. I know Joanne. For me, something that is really important is to know people that have your LHON and the same age as you. You know, for me, I was affected since 1 year, and was really helpful for me to talk with Joanne from Lasanol in Spain. And I think it's really important to have a contact like this. I'm a computer technician, and it was a really important to me to talk with other people like work in the same job as me, and to know that we could be alive with this disease. And I think it's really important to have associations, local associations, and contact all the people at the same time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, David. I'd like to ask both David and Tom, when we talk about technology, whether you find Braille or actual voice synthesizer or enlargements, what do you find yourself more comfortable with?
For me, first, I just search through internet, all the kind of synthesizers that have. For me, I have not got an iPhone or something like Apple. I use Android. And for the computer, I use Windows. And nowadays, with JAWS or NVDA, it could be very useful for us to have technologies to contact through here, Facebook, Instagram, or maybe like this. Accessibility for these platforms nowadays are better than years ago. So I think it's a good option to go through these local associations and to have the opinion of those kind of applications.
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, for myself, I'm quite lucky to have gotten back a huge portion of my vision. But back when my vision was really bad, the only thing that was available to me was like enlargement technology. And to this day, I still use enlargement technology in the sense that everything I read or look at when it comes to work or university is usually up to 150% enlarged. Just to make it easier for me. But as David said, I think that's also a huge advantage of associations and meeting other people to exchange ideas and potential technologies. Because back when I was at the lowest point of my vision, I didn't knew any other patients, and I also didn't had any guidance from the practitioners and from doctors on what would actually help me. And this would have been very valuable for me at that point in time to have access to people who are experienced in these sort of technologies.
Thank you, Tom. I have to say that the best part of what you said is that you got back a lot of your vision. So I think this is wonderful to hear that you got back a large part of your vision. Also, how did you get in touch with other patients?
So for myself, back when I first got LHON, it was quite difficult to get a diagnosis because the variant that I'm having was only found in 2021. But back then, the association that we have in Germany right now was quite new. We didn't really knew about that one, but there was a Facebook group that our association originated out of. And back then, my mother especially had a lot of contact with people from that Facebook group. And this is why I would also echo what Joe said, that even if you don't have any association in your country as of yet, the first and easiest step to start is creating such a Facebook group to touch in the first place with other patients, because I think this is the main plan, just the steps to build on that. But the first thing always is to find other patients.
Absolutely.
This is, I think, the most important step.
Yes,
absolutely. And in fact, Elian has put a comment in the chat that says she couldn't imagine life without her iPhone or iPad, but also the power of connecting with patients. I think that's sort of feels like it's being repeated around the group. Sergio, I think you've got your hand up there. Do you want to comment?
my iPad, yes. I hope I will be able to say what it goes so much through my mind and through my head and through my heart during this meeting. So I hope I will manage. Anyway, Tom was talking about gaining back sight. And I will tell you an experience which is not my personal experience, but I mean, I often meet patients outside of, we have a doctor in Rome. She's a lovely, really loving person. And I often meet patients outside of her room. And sometimes we do get into conversation. And I became, well, a LHON patient when I was 13. And some years ago, I met a child outside of her room. He was 13, and his dad and his mom were there with him. And I've met him several other times, but at last, after a few years, he gained again all his sight back through, cures, through healing, through medicines. And so I asked him the permission to hug him. I said, may I hug you? Because really, in this moment, I see myself back when I was a child. And you have made it. I was so happy for him. I was so happy for everyone who can make it. And well, I'm happy also for meeting everyone else who, whichever situation we are. But I was so happy for him. I said, look, I can leave myself back in you. And may I hug you? And really, it was such a lovely moment, such a warm moment, because I can feel that doctors and people's researchers are doing so much. And one day they will be able to, so whatever happened to us, I thank God because he left me enough sight. I managed throughout my life to go around the world and live. I now have more problems. But anyway, that's something I want to say. And then, of course, technology helped me a lot. I have a nice friend. He's a good friend. He really gives me all advice. I don't know if you can see it, but I have a huge. I have 2 iPads. I have an iPhone, whatever. This all helps me. I make photos and let them, read the text for me. So technology is great. My eyes help me. Through my Mito, I met really incredible, lovely people. It was such a good exchange of experiences. I'm thankful to all of us, all of you, to us in general, for just being here, and grazie.
Thank you, Sergio. Thank you so much for that. What a wonderful story. Thank you.
Yes.
Grazie.
We have a question. Anna has said, from a mother's perspective, she doesn't feel guilt about her son's LHON. However, she does feel pity, and she was wondering whether there were others on the call, other mums on the call that might feel the same. If that's something that anyone would like to share or respond to. Always welcome to either pop your hand up or write something in the chat.
What I'd like to say to Anna, from a mother's point of view, I understand it. From a patient's point of view, I could say that no patients want to have pity or to be pitied. Nobody wants to be pitied, let alone patients, but nobody really wants to be pitied. So sometimes we need to ask ourselves, would we want to be pitied? And I don't think anybody does, even though it's a totally human and natural feeling for a mother to have for her son, because we want our children to be perfect. I have LHON and my son doesn't. And sometimes I think about the bomb, the bomb hanging over our heads. What if that bomb explodes? My sister's son, my nephew, that bomb exploded over his head because he developed LH1 when he was 14, 10 years after me. I do not feel pity, of course, for my nephew, but admiration. And I think that parents need to transform that feeling of pity into admiration because of what your children can do. We mustn't concentrate on what we've lost, but we must concentrate on what we have left and all the things we can still use, all the things we can still do with what we have left. And there are many, many things. This is where the understanding and difficulty in understanding comes in. It's difficult to understand how my son can do this, this, and that. It's difficult for me to understand how he can study, how he can do sports, how he can look like a totally normal boy, and yet he has LHON. Poor boy. Never say poor boy. We must never say poor him, poor her, because it's the worst feeling that we can transmit to somebody who is affected by anything, any kind of disease. And with LH1, we fight to try to be as normal as possible because we want to be treated like normal people.
Anna's raised her hand. Do you want to comment, Anna?
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Anna.
Hi. I'm from Portugal, Lisbon. Well, I think you are right, Paula. And when I say that I have pity of the condition itself, because the thing is, the way I feel about LHON is that I have to tell that things by their name, and LHON is a dramatic disease. But I don't feel a pity about my son because he has managed to do his life bravely, and he's working. He never stopped studying. But once I met Dr. Patrick UA, I don't know if you spell it like that. We met him in Évora in Portugal during a congress, a medical congress, and he was there and he spoke to us a little bit, and he told us that LHON, as any rare disease, is a lottery, and that I kept this in my mind over these 7 years. Today is 7 years since we had the diagnosis. And I kept it in my mind that it is a lottery. So I don't feel guilty as a mother. I have 3 more sons. But I feel pity about this condition. And that's what I meant.
Okay.
Thank you.
I know your son has done some amazing
and
work.
he's online. He's online for the first time.
Oh, it's great to have
he's
you
listening.
join us.
Yes. For the first time.
Great to have you join us. Thank you.
Yes.
We have Lisa's put up a comment which I just want to draw your attention to. She said that there's a global Facebook group devoted to the topic of employment, and it's an opportunity to connect with others pursuing a similar job or career. There's a link in the chat, so if anyone is interested in that, please have a quick look at the chat and make a note of that link. Oh, she's also, Lisa, you're amazing. So she's also put a link here to say they've got a global group just for mums of affected individuals. So that's quite an interesting one. I suspect that some of you may already be members of that. If you're not, then that might be one that you might want to investigate.
Yes, Lisa has done an amazing work in the United States with groups supporting parents, women affected by LHON, spouses, lots and lots of things, jobs, technology. So really great work, Lisa, and thank you. Thank you for sharing all this with us.
Fantastic.
In fact, you know, from that group in the United States, I actually read the book that was years ago. It was advertised on that group, Born with a Bomb, Suddenly Blind. And that expression, born with a bomb, always stayed with me as I use it often. And this is what I'd like to ask, especially family members. How do you deal with knowing that we really have a bomb hanging over our head? Because you may have one person affected. Anna just said she has 3 other boys, 3 other sons. And so we know, I mean, lately especially, we've actually heard of people, women in their 70s, in their 50s, in their 60s, suddenly becoming affected. So we know it doesn't stop there between the ages of 15 and 30. So it really, you know, that idea of a bomb exploding over our heads, of more people in the family, the possibility that somebody else can become affected. How do you deal with that? I'd like to hear that from, because I think about it often. I think about my son. I have him, he's old now. I mean, he's 34. He has a checkup all the time with Professor Carelli once a year. Hopefully, you know, he's out of danger now. So he's been told, even though that tiny little possibility is always there. He doesn't smoke, he doesn't drink. How do you deal with knowing that it's a possibility?
Thank you, Lisa. I mean, did you want to say something? Oh, you're muted. We can't hear you, I'm afraid. Would you like to maybe put, no, maybe would you like to write it in the chat, your comment? I'm so sorry, we can't hear you. I think Emmy might be, maybe try and write it down. Perhaps while you write, I'm just going to try and unmute you from here. No, I still can't hear you, Emmy. While you're maybe putting something in the chat, Eleanor, I see you've got your hand up there. Would you like to?
Yes, thank you. So to answer your question, Paula, yeah, I'm 55 now. I was 13 when I got sick, so of course it was in my, you know, in my thoughts, because as soon as they found out that it was a feminine linear heritage, of course I took it into consideration, and even though perhaps I wouldn't have had children anyway, but I'm sure it was a central worry for me. So it changed my choices. It changed faculty. I chose the university. It changed many choices. But of course, you know, what I think it's we are part of. We make our choices. We make our life. So yes. It was central thought for me, but I'm a mother in a different ways. So I have nephews, and I love children anyway. So I'm grateful for that. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you. And Anna, I know you have your hand up as well.
Yes. Answering Paula, I think the best thing to do is to be grateful for what you have in the present, because you cannot live with fear of whatever will happen in the future. You have to live the present and be grateful for what you have, for your family, for I have been a grandmother 5 months ago. So you have to be grateful of what you have and of what you are now. In my from my point of view, 7 years ago when we got the Thomas diagnosis, I began reading more. I began reading, and not to because time flies, and you have to make things happen. You have to do the things you have to do. So that's my point of view.
Anna, you mean you began reading about the disease, or reading?
No,
to get
reading about everything,
Okay.
using my eyes.
Yes. Well, congratulations that you've just become a grandmother.
Yes.
Yes,
Of the little
of
boy.
course.
Yes.
Wonderful. Of course, we do worry about passing the mutation on, but like you said, we can't live with the worry, because it would really ruin our lives. Because if we go and examine our DNA, it would tell us so many things that we would spend our lives worrying about what could happen, that could never happen, that might never happen. So you have a good philosophy about this. Of course, not everybody can. And this is when the associations can support groups, LHON groups and so on, can support families and brothers and sisters, also siblings, in understanding. Do any of you feel that you have neglected your other children and given all of your attention, or most of your attention, to the child who was affected?
That's a really interesting question, Paula. We do have a couple of other hands that have been raised for a few minutes. So I'm not sure if they wanted to respond to the previous conversation. Okay. Gerardo, would you like to unmute?
Hello.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
We can. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, everybody, for doing this webinar. Some of you I know, some of you I met you in Euromeet, Kyra, with Tom Schuster. I also talked by telephone, and Sebastian Zabulica, and Pedro Garcia. And thank you very much for letting me participate in this webinar. I wanted to answer the question that Paula made before about how do we live this as a father, or my situation. My son is affected. He's now 10 years old. He was affected last year with 9 years old. We also have a daughter with 13 years old. And we live in Spain. I am member of ASANOL since a few months. I met them last year in the meeting that they made in Sevilla. This year it will be in November in Barcelona. Some doctors will come, we talk with us, we will make a nice event. We invite you all to assist if you want. We have all the information in our social media place, in our webpage. And sometimes I have the feeling that the woman of Portugal said about pity. And it's a hard, Anna, I think that it was Anna. And I think that I understand what she means, because maybe it's the hardest feeling that a lot of times I have, and maybe all the other members of my family also have. My parents, my brother, my sister. Why him? Why him? Why him and why not me? Why it didn't happen to me? I think that maybe Anna is talking from there, and I understand what she says, but because I also have that feeling, it's very hard to fight with that feeling, and I try to use that energy in another situations, because our problem doesn't have a solution until today. And for me, it was very emotive in Bologna to see over 900 people that are investigating, that are working, that are trying to find solutions. It was unbelievable for me to be there. I was in some talks, but then I realized that the important was to talk with all of you that I met in the outsides, because we as patients or families, we don't have too much to do there. I think that we have to support them, because they are the professionals, and I am very happy that they are working. And it's very important that I don't give up. I don't give up as a father. I accept the situation, but I don't give up. I think that my mission in the world is to keep my family as I was going to say it in German, gesund, health as possible. And I am giving a lot of energy to our association. I give a lot of energy to my family. I have to keep on working in my job activities every day, but I won't give up. I think that here is a lot of people that also won't give up. I think, and I hope that we will be together, and we will be in touch with the doctors, because it's very important for the doctors to not to give them a negative pressure, but to let them know that we are there, that we are trying to find a solution. I have a lot of hopeness that in the next years, with all the technology, all the studies, all the investigations that are going on, we will find a solution for all of you. Nowadays, my son is unbelievable. He lost his one eye. He cannot see with one eye, but with the other eye, he recovered a little bit of his vision. And he is a fighter. It's unbelievable, the resilience that he has. He's the motor of the family. And he has a lot of energy, and give us a lot of energy to go on. He can play basketball. Before, he wanted to be a pilot, but alone he realized maybe that he couldn't do that, and now he wants to use tractors and to work with the plants and all those things. Now he's happy with that. But my daughter maybe also will have this in the future. That's why we have to continue, because a lot of things will happen then. They are working. I didn't know about all these things, but they are working for those situations, to have kids without the LHON, without the mutation. In a few years, there will be a lot of things. And it's incredible that here is a lot of people from a lot of countries, from Europe. I hope that we will keep on in touch and to continue going to events like this one in Italy. Maybe, I don't know when will be the next ones. But the feeling of pity that Anna has, I think that it happens to a lot of us. And we have to try to not feel pity, because we feel guilty. I feel guilty when I have pity of my son. I see my son, and I feel pity, and then I feel guilty for having pity, because it's not nice. It's not a nice feeling to have pity of your son. But this is what we have. So we have to take it with us and to go on with this, not to fight with these things, because it could be much, much worse. This mitochondrial disease is the less painful. No, it's not the worst. It's the opposite of the worst mitochondrial disease. It could be much worse. Sometimes I think, why is happening this? Why? But I also think that it's only this, and that is not another mitochondrial harder or disease. Thank you for giving me the time to talk.
Thank you.
Nothing else.
Thank you, Gerard. Thank you so much. I think that was amazing to hear your thoughts. Thank you. Ermi, I know we've been messaging. Do you want to try again to see whether we can hear you this time? No, we still can't hear you, I'm afraid. I'm so sorry. If you... Yeah, no, we still have no sound from you at all. But if you the only thing that I could suggest is if you leave the meeting and then come back in again, sometimes that might help. It might be worth trying that. But otherwise, please feel free to email me and I can always pass on a question. Eliana, I can see you have your hand up. Would you like to unmute yourself?
Can you hear me?
We can, yes.
You know, to be honest, I forgot why I raised my hand. I guess it's because I'm getting hungry, but how do you deal with knowing that your children are carriers? And there's not much I wanted to say about it, because I refuse to live in fear. I mean, the fear is mine now, but if I pass that on to my daughter, I think it's going to make her life miserable, and mine even more. So, like somebody said earlier, it was a lottery, and you know, as far as I'm concerned, I had to take it, and we'll pass that. Try not to pass that on to the next generation, and live our lives the way we should.
Absolutely. Thank you. Absolutely. And I guess one of the things that I'm taking from all of your comments and the conversations that we're having is that having LHON, as you say, it's a lottery. It's not predictable who's going to get it and who's not. And it's really, really, really hard. But so many of you have turned things around. And whether it's you as you're the person who has LHON yourself, or whether you're the family member, you've been incredibly supportive to that person. You have turned your own life around and you have embraced your new reality, and you won't let it stop you, which is incredible. And I have to say, I feel so inspired from listening to all of you, and I'm sure a lot of other people on the call are feeling the same. It's so inspiring hearing from you all, and thank you so much for speaking up. Paula.
Well, I'm still thinking of something that Gerardo Rogers said. That is something that I tell myself every time I go to either Euromit or mitochondrial disease conference, and I see the other diseases that are there, Lee syndrome and Kearns-Sayre and SURF and MELAS. They are so much more devastating because they involve so many other organs, some of them multiple organs, and also they usually hit children when they're young, who rarely manage to grow up. to be adults. When I developed LHON, they actually thought it was something like that. And I was in the States, my family was in Italy, and in Italy they were all discussing the fact that I was going to be returning to Italy as a total invalid person in a wheelchair. They knew little, but they had heard of mitochondrial diseases, and they thought that that's what was happening. So I consider myself lucky too. It was my vision, but everything else so far is still working, and I'm thankful for that.
That's good. That's good. Paula, we've got 2 more questions, I think. Pedro, you have your hand up.
Yes. Hello. Thank you so much, Joe and Paula, for organizing this kind of online meeting. And I would like to talk about the testimony of Ana Velosa from Portugal and Gerardo Rogers here in Spain. I think it's very important to talk about feeling of guilty, because I think that it is a normal aspect regarding LHON, and especially I recognize the words of Gerardo, because it's not common that fathers share their personal testimony, and it's more common that mothers explain about this kind of condition, of this kind of feeling. So thank you both for sharing your testimony, your opinion about this kind of situation. In my experience, I think that we can find some different groups regarding feeling of guilty. On the one hand, some mothers that recognize this situation as a normal aspect. It is a biological situation, and in other cases, it is true that we can find other mothers, as Ana Velosa from Portugal in this case. Ana, sorry for talk about you, but it's only an example. But I think it's very important to give support for these people, these mothers, to work with focus group, with support and help with psychologists specialized in this kind of rare conditions. I think that some kind of LHON groups has this kind of members, this kind of workers, this kind of families that they need help. In my little experience here in Spain, I understand that this kind of focus group to help help to understand this kind of condition, it's a good development to understand this kind of journey. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Pedro. We have another comment in the chat from Marie. She says that she doesn't have LHON, but she's interested to hear from those who are affected. How do you want us to react when you tell us about your disease? It's a really interesting question. I don't know if anyone would like to respond. Paula?
I think that it's what I expect is people to maybe react with interest rather than, oh, I'm not interested. Not definitely not pity. We talked about pity before, but nobody wants to be pitied. Definitely, oh, you poor thing. Nobody wants that when you tell them you have LHON. I'm very used to telling people now I have LHON. It's a mitochondrial disease that hits the ganglion cells of the optic nerve. Oh, what are the ganglion cells? So I tend to go off into this explanation. but I find that usually people are interested, and I like it when people are interested, but certainly not when they say, "Oh, you poor thing." When I hear that, "You poor thing," I say, "Why poor thing?" I'm just
Yeah, absolutely. Eleanor, you've raised your hand. Would you like to add to that?
Yes, thank you. For me, what would really be important regarding relationships with others, which is the central thing in my life, affected by this disease, is that people is when people are interested in understanding what it is for me and what changes, but without pity, of course, but really to understand in which point you need support, what do you see this, do you need, for example, my sister, my cousin, people who know me very well, they wave their hands and they call my name very out loud when I arrive in a place, and I appreciate that very much because they do it with love, so I don't feel lost. I don't go here and there, no? And things which what would be necessary to you, important for you, supportive for you, just like this, really practical things. So this kind of understanding.
Thank you for sharing that. Now, amazingly, the last couple of hours have gone past so fast. We're reaching the end of our session. We've only got a couple of minutes left. I know we've had a few people that have had to drop off already. Lisa just said that she has to drop off as well. Lisa, thank you so much for all the links that you've put in the chat. That's been so helpful. Really appreciate that. Please do have a look. She also added a group for dads as well in the chat as well. I would like just to pass back to Paula and then Kyra very quickly in the last couple of minutes to say thank you. But please do remember, it is although it's LHON Awareness Day today, it is also World Mitochondrial Disease Week. For the whole week, there are still lots of activities taking place. Please go and have a look at the website, the Awareness Week website, have a look on our social media channels. Light Up for Mito is happening on Saturday, so there may well be some green monuments, etc., lit up near you. And please do share things on social media. We've got loads and loads of social media assets and images and various different messages that you can copy and paste and send. So have a look on our website and you can download all of that. Paula, would you like to say a few final words?
Thank you. Yes, I really would like to thank everybody. It's been a really wonderful 2 hours. It's so important to share ideas, experiences, situations, testimonies with everybody from all over the world. Imagine different parts of the world all connected on one screen with one situation, LHON, that unites us all. So really thank you to all of you, and thank you, Joe and Kyra, for supporting the LHON Awareness Day every year. And thank you to all of you who participated.
Wonderful. Thank you, Paula. And Kyra, I'll hand over to you for the last minute.
I echo Paula's sentiments and just thank everyone for being here and taking the time to share with us. And I think most importantly, to trust us, to support you on this journey. I think I can speak for all of our member organizations at IMP. That's what we're all here and we're all committed to do. So to have these opportunities to bring us together from all over the world, speaking different languages and different time zones. But as Paula said, the one thing that unites us all is mitochondrial disease. And IMP is honored to be able to support you on this journey, to provide resources. And we hope you continue to lean on us, reach out to us, ask questions, share, even sometimes if it's just having a listening ear of somebody that understands what you're going through. We want to be able to be here for you. So I would encourage you to stay in touch beyond Awareness Week. I know we're going all out this week and everyone's posting and there's so much activity, but our hope is that that continues throughout the year and that you know that we're always will be here for you. So thank you for being here with us and for trusting us to walk with you on this journey.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kyra. And just on that last note, I just got an update, and we've been sharing madly on social media, as I said, about Awareness Week and about mitochondrial diseases in general. And I know that already in the first couple of days, we've reached about 188,000 people with our social media posts. So we're really trying to raise as much awareness as we possibly can this year. So please share on social, tell people about mitochondrial diseases in general as well. And thank you so much. And we'll look forward to seeing you back here next year. We'll stay in touch.